is still sort of here, but going away. So I can read again, maybe. Last time I could only go for 55 minutes, but I think we're getting into it a little bit. So let us continue, shall we? All right. While staring off into the stream, I somehow got separated from Reina. Oh, by the way, so if you remember last time on Higurashi When They Cry, we went to the festival, we had more fun games, which I liked this one. They brought over a teddy bear. Reina and I kissed. Aww, we had a romantic evening. And then we cut up futons and float them into a river. For fun. For luck. Anyway, so now we shall continue. I wasn't very lonely though. Oh, I know this place now. This is where I live, my home. It's probably better if I just stay here instead of wandering around aimlessly. Someone would surely find me while I was enjoying the evening breeze. I heard a familiar voice. It was Tomatake-san's. I headed towards it. How did it go, Tomatake-san? Were you able to get some good shots? Yeah, fortunately. Tomatake-san was with a girl. I felt a little like I was intruding. How was it, Keiichi-kun? Did you enjoy the festival? From the way she spoke, it seemed like she was a resident of Hinamizawa. I really should try hard to remember people's faces here. What was her name? Well, it was fun. My face must have given away how desperately I was trying to remember her name because she gave a lighthearted chuckle. It's probably because it hasn't been long since you moved here. It's pretty hard to believe seeing how friendly you've gotten with the other kids. If that's how it looked, it was probably all thanks to Reina and Mion. Perhaps you feel more like a resident of Hinamizawa after taking part in the festival today. I wonder about that. Oh, that's not like you. I had tried to get used to Hinamizawa, but there were still plenty of things I didn't know. The faces of people I'd met, for example. Things that had happened in the past as well. Oh, you're feeling left out because of something like that? It's not so much feeling left out, it's just... I'm not sure how to say it. That instant at the dam construction site, the fighting over it and other conflicts. That terrible incident they pretended they didn't even know about whenever I brought it up. Even though it was in the past, as someone living in Hinamizawa, it wasn't wrong to want to know about both the good and the bad that happened here. If it will put you at ease, then I'll tell you everything I know. Tomatake-san's smile made me feel more relieved than I'd ever been. It was hard to think of what to ask when someone said, "Ask me anything," though. It's true. Even when there was so much I wanted to ask. Then, could you tell me about what happened when the dam was being constructed? There was a big incident where Hinamizawa was going to be submerged, right? I think the locals would be more knowledgeable about the dam than I am. Well, if you don't mind, I'll tell you what I know. It's only what I read in the newspaper, though. Tomatake-san's eyes entered an unfocused gaze as he searched through his memory. Then he spoke. The decision to start the dam project was finalized 7 or 8 years ago. I heard it was the next major project after Kurobe. There were 3 major issues in Japan at that time. Improving inter-island transportation infrastructure, meeting the higher demand for electricity, and flood control. There was a boom of dam building due to the massive economic stimulus they provided on top of generating electricity and flood control. Make sense? Hinamizawa had the right conditions to support dam construction, so it was singled out. The dam reservoir would have covered quite a lot of ground when it was completed. The entire area, right up to Yagoichi, way upstream, would be underwater. But why did they have to pick a populated area like Hinamizawa? Couldn't they have instead picked a place where nobody lived? It's Japan. People live everywhere. I'm not really sure why, but I heard that it was just right terrain for building a dam. Of course, there were protests here in Hinamizawa. Rika-chan had said there was a battle. From that choice of words, I had to guess things turned violent. There was a trial, and it was even brought up before the National Diet. It was covered in the Tokyo newspapers, too. Mian had told me about that as well. I'm sure every resident of Hinamizawa had united to fight together. This feeling of solidarity found here, which cannot be expressed properly with mere words, was likely brought about by that battle. As a result, bribery and scandals were brought to light. As things got more and more complicated, they eventually halted construction. If I wanted to know, now was my only chance to ask. It was certainly a bizarre incident that boys my age would be curious about. I felt a little shame from the fact I was petty enough to have my curiosity piqued by Reina and Mian's refusal to talk about the event. But I figured I might as well ask since I had the chance, just so I'd stop thinking about it so much. So, there was a dismemberment, right? There was. I happened to be here in Hinamizawa at the time, so I remember it well. Tomitake-san's answer was nonchalant in contrast to my hesitantly forced-out question. It was about this time, 4 years ago. It was the day of the Wananagashi, if I recall correctly. Debate on whether to continue construction on the dam was in disarray. Scandal after scandal rocked the project near the end. The incident that was the final nail in the coffin for the dam project. A fight at the dam construction site ended up in the victim being murdered. Fearing prosecution, the 6 assailants divided the remains into 6 pieces and each hid one. 5 of the 6 criminals turned themselves in out of guilt, but one was still on the run. The right arm he'd hidden had yet to be found. The major details lined up with what was in the tabloid I'd read earlier. It certainly was a tragic incident, but it wasn't so terrible that Reina and Mia needed to hide it from me. They're part of the people. I guess they didn't want someone who just moved here to have a negative impression of Hinamizawa. I felt grateful for having friends who worried so much about me, as well as shame for being so interested in it. It was near the end of all the trouble with the dam, you see. So everyone was saying that it was Oyashiro-sama's curse. Oyashiro-sama's curse, huh? Oyashiro-sama was the name of the god at the shrine that held the festival today, if I recalled correctly. I see. Their guardian deity rained divine punishment down on the evil dam construction for trying to flood Hinamizawa. Apparently the younger ones didn't think so, but it seems the elderly in the village never doubted that it was Oyashiro-sama's curse. The woman with Tomitake-san said with a mischievous chuckle. Tomitake-san began laughing with her. It was so infectious I ended up laughing as well. But I wonder about now. There are quite a few, I think. Amongst the youth, too. A few what? People who believe in Oyashiro-sama's curse. The woman's lips were still curled into a smile, but her expressions turned stern. Then, after that, it continued every year, always around this time. Continued? What continued? Tomitake paused for a second as if to build up some suspense. Then he whispered to me, as if somebody might be listening. Every year, on the day of the Wananagushi, somebody dies. Sorry, I clicked through that fast. That was important too. I'm sorry. The year following the dismemberment on the day of the Wananagashi, a man from Hinamizawa who had supported the dam fell off a cliff overlooking some rapids and died while he was on vacation. Unfortunately, for his wife, the body was never recovered. He supported the dam construction even though he lived in Hinamizawa? At the time, there were whispers amongst the elderly saying it was the Oyashiro-sama's curse. The woman chuckled mysteriously again. Then, the next year, the night of the Waranagashi, the shrine's Shinto priest died suddenly from an unknown illness. His wife drowned herself in that bog that night. The shrine's Shinto priest, you mean he was from the shrine here? The woman nodded. There was a rumor amongst the villagers that they weren't able to quell Oyashiro-sama's anger. Then, the year after that, again, on the night of the Waranagashi, they discovered the battered body of a local housewife. Man, I wouldn't want to come back here. Why are you here, Tomataka-san? Housewife? Up until now, all these mysterious deaths were people involved with the dam or had connections with Oyashiro-sama. With that in mind, could the housewife have been involved in some way too? Way to scare this kid half to death with these things. Exactly. The woman stated slyly. No, it was more menacingly. One of the victim's relatives, you see, was connected to the younger brother of the dam supporter who fell to his death 2 years before. Oh, they're connected somehow. The younger brother is still alive, it seems, but it did bother him quite a bit, so he moved to the neighboring town I went to. For a while, I stood there with my mouth agape. The battle over the dam construction with Hinamizawa's future at stake, and the murder at the center of it all. That was all I knew, and that was all I wanted to ask about. But that wasn't all there was to the story. Homicide? Body disposal? Accidental deaths? Terminal illness? Suicide? Fatal beatings? I'm a pretty level-headed person. I don't really want to believe in curses, but the freakish deaths happened every year on the day of the Waranagashi, and all of them were related to the dam construction? It was easy to dismiss each of them as coincidences by themselves, but when you put them all together, dismissing all of them as coincidence would defy logic. I don't believe in curses, but every single year, on the day of the Waranagashi, somebody or something makes it happen without fail. The woman chuckled again as if she picked up on what I was thinking. It felt like she was saying, maybe there was. Maybe we frightened him. Stuff like that. Felt embarrassed at being read so easily. I pressed Tomatake-san to continue, a bit of impatience and irritation in my tone. Then? So someone died the next year, right? Who was it that time? I wonder, who do you think, Keiichi-kun? The hell? The way he said it didn't agree with me. The sarcastic tone ticked me off. Don't avoid the question. I'm serious here. Hey, calm down. I realized when she tried to calm me down that I had been panicking. We aren't trying to avoid the question, Keiichi-kun. It's just, when you say the next year, that's this year. That's today. Whew. When she hesitated to say it, Tomatake-san finished for her. I broke into a cold sweat. I really didn't like the direction this was headed. Nobody wants to speak of it, but they all think it's going to happen again tonight. The festival was so cheerful, though. Well, the victim last year, the housewife, she was a non-believer. It turns out she didn't even attend the Waranagashi festival. There was a rumor going around that if you didn't participate in the festival, you would incur Oyashiro-sama's wrath. Didn't you hear anything about this, Keiichi-kun? I never even heard a whisper of that rumor. Then, the reason everyone was at the festival was they were afraid of the curse? I figured that must have been the reason. There was a lot more people at the onikakushi than usual. I guess everyone was just afraid, after all, of Oyashiro-sama's curse. I couldn't utter a single word. Boom! In this modern age, where we've made progress in all scientific fields, shedding light on the unknown and misunderstood, where black and white television has been eradicated and we've sent men to the moon, even with all of our accomplishments, this can exist in modern society? Tons of invitations were sent out to neighboring towns' youth groups to help pad the numbers, but after that string of events, few decided to join. No kidding. The municipal committee members were complaining about how hard it was to gather participants. Also, the police are treating each case as isolated. They don't believe they're connected. They're trying to keep it quiet, so it's all plainclothes officers. It finally began to dawn on me why Reina and Mion were reluctant to talk. If nothing happened during this Watanagashi, everything would have been over with and I'd be none the wiser. If nothing happened, all would be well. In that case, it would all end up being just crazy talk. I should have just pretended like I knew nothing from the beginning. Then they wouldn't have had to act like nothing happened. We would have gone back to life as usual. Maybe it was just too much for him after all. The woman ran her fingers through her hair as she sighed. No, it wasn't. Not at all. I had tried to act strong, but that just served to emphasize how much the information had unsettled me, when it unsettled anyone. After seeing how I looked, Tomitake-san appeared to regret saying anything. Letting out a sigh, he then spoke, forcing an awkward, upbeat demeanor. Keiichi-kun, surely you don't believe in such things as curses. Well, no. If the causes of all the crimes were unknown, with the perpetrators and their methods all mysteries, then I would think it's the work of a curse. But that's not how things are in reality. The police are investigating the evidence and suspects to uncover the truth. Hearing him say police made me feel a lot better. It was perfect for repelling the word curse. Police can't do anything about curses. The first one, the dismemberment, for example. I told you, didn't I? All but one of the perpetrators were arrested. It's only a matter of time for the last one. The motive turned to have been out an argument that they had while intoxicated. Dude, even if you're intoxicated, you don't cut a body into 6 pieces and take apart home with you. That's just stupid and sick and gross. You'd have to be, like, dead intoxicated to do that. That's no curse. Don't you agree? That was true. If it didn't happen on the day of the Watanagashi, then I wouldn't think it was related to the curse at all. The accidental death of a man who supported the dam is the same. He was in a position that made others hate him. The police made a point of investigating from that angle. They concluded it was an accident, not foul play. But they both happened on the day of the festival, right? Just think about it, Keiichi-kun. Do you think people with a lot of enemies here in Hinamizawa could participate easily in a local festival? It would be especially hard for them to be around during the Watanagashi. So they probably left Hinamizawa intentionally around this time of year to travel, don't you think? It wasn't a very clear explanation, but I sort of understood what Tomitake-san was getting at. So I pressed on earnestly, asking more questions so that I could convince myself. Then, Tomitake-san, what about the priest who died after that? The one with the unknown illness. That also happened on the day of the festival. It's even easier to explain what happened to the Shinto priest. The Watanagashi is a really big event that happens once a year. It was probably from all the built-up stress. Or it may have been because of pre-existing condition. But it was an unknown illness. It's hard to believe something with an unknown cause could exist with all our advances in medicine. It's just an exaggeration. Rumors making rumors. Anyone would get worked up over having incidences happen 2 years in a row. The sudden death is quite unnatural, though. Of course, the police ordered an autopsy because of the strange way he died. But there wasn't enough for them to open a full investigation, you know? Turns out it was just sudden death due to illness. The priest's wife committed suicide, right? What about that? I believe I already explained that. Everyone was shaken up by the incidences happening for a 3rd year. Those who are of strong faith were quick to believe it was the work of the curse. Of course, that included the priest's wife. Apparently they found a suicide note that said something like, "My death will quell Oyashiro-sama's anger." Well then, how about the next incident with the housewife? That happened on the day of the Waranagashi too. The perpetrator has already been caught and the case has been closed. Turns out it was just some nut job trying to continue the legacy of the Hinamizawa curse. Then how about the incident the next year? Oh yeah, this year is the next year. Tomitake-san gave a hearty laugh. Nothing will happen. Not this year. There was never a curse to begin with. It's just that a group of people believed it was the explanation for a string of coincidences. My internal computer finally got itself back on track. I felt a bit embarrassed by how childish I'd become after losing control and panicking. I can see very clearly now that Keiichi-kun really does love Hinamizawa. Even if Oyashiro-sama's curse actually did exist, Keiichi-kun couldn't bring himself to believe that such a thing existed. I felt very relieved. I should probably just forget everything I heard tonight. I'll greet Reina and Mion tomorrow with the same smile as always. They'd probably also like tonight to end without incident, so they continue on tomorrow without having worried me. Perhaps seeing my change in attitude, the woman, who had been listening, and stretched as she got up from the rock she was sitting on. Well then, I should be getting back. Goodness, I think I may have gone on a bit too long. There were so few people compared to the crowd from before, I could only make out a few groups of families enjoying the cool evening air. I looked at my watch. It seemed we talked for the better part of an hour. Didn't you come along with your friends, Keiichi-kun? Not going to look for them? Oh, yeah. They might all be looking for me. You're quite the scoundrel making the girls look for you. See you, Keiichi. Have a nice night. You too, Jiro-san. I'll see you a bit later. Tomitake seems to be quite the scoundrel himself, so his name is Chiro. After dusting off her backside, she disappeared into the crowd of people still busy cleaning up the shrine grounds. Keiichi-kun! So sorry! In her place, Reina came running over. I could see all the others behind her. Speak of the devil. My bad, Kei-chan. We got so caught up in our discussion. I'd completely forgotten about them while caught up in my own conversation, so we were even. My, so Tomitake was with you. This works perfectly. We still need to settle the shooting gallery competition. What? I won! I got the teddy bear. Ha! That's right. So, I guess I'm gonna end up dead last. In the end, after my dramatic victory, Rika-chan was the last challenger. But there weren't many targets left. The ones remaining were all tiny and difficult to hit. She did take her time and aim, but all 3 shots completely missed. She was to end up wearing the loser's crown with Tomitake-san. However, she did her little mewing cry in front of the owner and turned to mush instantly. She was given a pack of gum as a consolation prize. Her methods were a bit audacious, but she did avoid being the loser rather magnificently. Come to think of it, Rika-chan is quite the trickster. I have no idea what Keiichi is talking about. Now then, it's decided that Tomitake is dead last. Everyone cheered and applauded. Tomitake smiled wryly, slightly bewildered. So, Tomitake-san, are you ready? Penalty time! Huh? Oh, I completely forgot about that. You're too naive, Tomitake. This is why our club can never lose. Mian pulled a felt-tip marker from her pocket. Oh, it's that. Show him some mercy, Mian. At least use a washable marker. A permanent one is too harsh. It just has to be permanent. It comes off when you do the laundry anyway. Whoa, what is this? Please take it easy on me. Oliver's pinned his arms behind his back and Mian approached him with the marker in one hand. And squip. But she didn't write on Tomitake-san's face. She wrote on the shirt he was wearing. That's mean. How do you know it'll come out in the laundry? You'd better have your big break this year, Mian. Reina took up the marker next. Show me your photos next time, okay? Reina. It was a little heartwarming and I just had to laugh. This is more like a farewell card than a penalty. Oh, I'm not as soft as the rest. I'll make sure this is a proper penalty. Ha ha! Dead last, Satoko. Try harder next time, Rika. Here you go, KG. I couldn't decide what to write, but based on what kind of penalty this was probably the most appropriate. Come back and play again. Oh! KG. Tomitake was silent the entire time. At first he was quite bewildered, but now he had a different look on his face. So, I have to wear this all the way back to Tokyo as part of the penalty? Of course! You'd better wear it all the way home. You could wear it when you come back. It would be nice. He appeared deeply moved. Embarrassment mixed with a wealth of other emotions made him turn bright. Understood. I'll wear this the next time I come here. I promise. Everyone cheered and applauded. It was the finest parting gift possible for a buddy heading out tonight. I saw the woman who was with Tomitake standing near the festival grounds. I dropped the songs and stuff. They were too annoying to read. It seemed Tomitake noticed her too, and knew it was time to leave. Seems like your guest is waiting. Isn't it about time? Yeah, that's certainly how it seems. Tomitake-san headed off towards her and seemed to apologize for making her wait. We all shouted stuff at Tomitake-san. Each time we did, he looked back and waved his hand. Eventually, he faded into the darkness, out of the night, out of sight. It was quite the casual farewell. It wasn't the first time any of us had seen someone off. They had done the same thing many times before. He's gone. Well, it's about time we take off too. Rika-chan had to stay behind with the other committee members since they were having a meeting. Satoko-san was tagging along with her. I headed back home with the usual suspects. The walk back was quite lively with talk of the day's war stories. Should have done this, should have done that, that kind of stuff. Reina and I parted ways with Mian, and then it was just the two of us. Then we got to my house, and I parted ways with Reina as well. It's already pretty late. Are you all right by yourself? Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. It's close. I'm going to run, too. If you run into some weirdo, just yell. If someone does come, will you come to save me? Maybe? Maybe? If I hear you. Oh, okay. I'll scream loud enough so you can hear me. Merrily spinning her arms around at high speed, Reina dashed off. She was fine. In that mode, not even an adult could stand against her. Reina's cheerful presence disappeared and it finally became quiet again. The curse that not a single person even whispered about. The more I learned about it tonight, the more unsettling it became. It didn't show on any of their faces, but they were probably all quite concerned about it as well. But if nothing happens tonight, then it'll all end up being crazy talk. Nothing will happen. Nothing bad. Nothing at all. What's wrong, Keiichi? Why are you standing in a place like that? Come inside, you'll catch a cold. It was my mom. Did you go, Mom? To the Wananagashi festival? Uh-oh. In the end, your father didn't wake up, so I missed it. A little disappointing. Mom stuck her tongue out with a bit of an embarrassed look on her face. Oh, it's doing a thing. Uh-oh. His parents weren't even really in the anime, so I'm not gonna read these ones, you guys can just read them. Office employee, blah 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 blah. How do you fall from an observatory platform unless you're being a freaking idiot, like trying to take a picture from standing on top? I don't know. Has yet to be found. So they weren't in Hinamizawa. They left Hinamizawa. It sounds like they were just on vacation. Well, still, like, what? Like, even if a railing broke, you'd have to be, like, completely leaning up against it or something. I don't know. Like on your tiptoes. Anyways. And how does his wife fall too? These are good voice breaks. So he was in... So it seems like a couple. One person dies and one goes missing. Interesting. So one person dies and they can't find the other person. So far, anyway. I read a little bit so you guys can read it. Don't want to do that. Alright, and last one. It wasn't reported in the newspaper? Why? Why would it tell me that and then not give it to me? Alright. I mean, why would it give it to me and then just say that? Oh, maybe that is a hint. Oh, okay, this will be fun. This is Okinomiya Station calling Unit 3. Unit 3, please respond. This is Unit 3. Loud and clear. Backup is headed your way. Hold position until further instructions. Over. Roger, Unit 3, acknowledged. Requesting no headlights. Requesting radio silence. Station. Station. The doctor has arrived. They want to carry it away. What's the order? Over. Acknowledged. Leave it to the doctor. Affirmative. Understood. Oh, backup has arrived. Shouldn't we let them take a photo first? I think the Vic is done for. I don't know why I have a Darth Vader voice, I'm sorry. Oh, is that the housewife murder? I wonder why it wasn't in the newspaper. Whoa. Alright. Let's just continue. I was scared for my parents and Tomatake-san. Whew. Good morning! Good morning indeed. Nice job yesterday, Kei-chan. You didn't do so badly yourself, Mian. Yesterday was fun. Oh, that's right, Keiichi-kun. Thank you very much. For Mr. Bear! I'm glad you like it. Don't use it as a pincushion, though. I wouldn't. Still chatting happily, we entered the classroom, but the moment I stepped into the room, a splashing sound and a nasty sensation. It was a bucket filled to the brim with water, and unfortunately, my foot stepped right into it. My now, how diligent of you to mop the floor this morning. Clomp, 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 foot, foot. Keiichi licked my forehead. You should set a more brutal trap next time. Seeing that, Reina began to swoon as Mian looked on dejectedly. Everything was the same as always. Everybody was there, and nothing felt out of place. The uncertainties I had in the back of my mind since yesterday had vanished. What is it, Keiichi? Didn't get enough sleep, maybe? Maybe? I slept like a log, but if you want, I'll do a reenactment during class. You shouldn't do that! Mian alerted us the teacher was coming, so everyone shuffled off to their seats. Teacher. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday was the festival. Thank you to all the people who stayed up until the very end to help clean up. We were all slackers, so none of us actually helped clean up. Actually, I had the feeling the only thing we did was run around the festival and cause a ruckus. Yeah, but you paid them. Okay then, this time of year you might see some people around here from out of town doing interviews about the festival for magazines. I thought it was the usual stuff, so I was going to tune it out, but then I noticed a different tone in her voice and started paying attention. You may be asked questions. Please don't say anything silly or something that could be taken the wrong way. Do you understand? In unison, everyone replied, yes, ma'am. Oh, is it like a town thing? Like a whole town conspiracy thing? Right, too far. What she'd said was really vague, but I understood what she was trying to say. After all, this was the 5th year. There were probably thoughts of third-rate reporters pouring in, hoping something in regards to the curse happened. It did nothing but perpetuate the village's bad image. She was saying, don't spout stupid shit you think is funny. And now, I was one of the ones who needed to keep their mouths shut. I found it rather cute how I felt a sense of unity from such a trite thing, if I do say so myself. Oh, I don't want to do a club activity today. I was summoned to club activities after school. Since everyone was still pretty tired from yesterday, we just spent the day relaxing. Yeah, that wasn't happening. Today, let's play a classic game of deduction. How about this one? Oh, a game from overseas. Looks interesting. The instructions are in English, but the rules don't seem that hard. I won't lose you here. I'm not too bad at this game. It seemed that Reina didn't handle this kind of game very well. The rules are, the person who can match the murderer, weapon, and the scene of the crime wins. Oh, so they're playing clues. They're playing Clue. There were 3 kinds of cards comprised of suspects, weapons, and locations. It's Clue. I could see that the names Mion and Rika were written on the suspect cards. Oh, a card with my name it is on as well. There are plenty of different weapons too, like knives, axes, and poison. That's kind of fun. The locations are pretty nice too, like the living room, the study, and the courtyard. So basically, you take out one of each of the cards. These are the answer cards. So we shuffle the remaining cards and hand them out. We ask each other about the cards and figure out the right ones. I see, so the cards nobody has are the true perpetrators. If anyone's never played Clue, this is Clue. Then you raise your hand if you know the answer. The game ends and we check if the answer is correct. If you're right, then you get a point. If you're wrong, then you lose a point. That's wrong. Since the game ends even if no one gets it right, all the cards are gathered up and redistributed. You'll learn as you go. You'll really have to use your brain. They play it differently. You'll get confused if you don't take notes. The rest of you can figure out by playing, so Mion, what's the penalty this time? Everyone directed their attention to Mion. Let's see. We're all still a little tired from yesterday, so maybe we'll take it easy with a gopher penalty. You'll be asked to rush out and buy stuff for everyone. So just being asked to go buy stuff like drinks and candy, I guess. I feel like the penalty today is pretty simple. I wonder, is it really? Is Keiji-san thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah, you don't know what you'll have to go buy. I'm betting Mion would send out whoever loses to buy stuff like hemorrhoid cream or happy family planning manual or other crazy stuff. What a waste of money. The cards were lightly shuffled and passed out to each player. The real perpetrator, the correct weapon, and the scene of the murder had been taken out, so that means that all the cards I have in my hand are innocent. Then, I'll go first since I'm the club president. I guess... Well then, Mion, knife, study. You pick one suspect, one murder weapon, one scene, and ask each person. If you have any of those cards, then you must say, I have one. However, you don't need to say which one you have. What is this clue? This is bad clue. Yeah, I got it. Me too. I have one. Oh my, all of them are here. 3 people answered when she asked if they had Mion, knife, and study. So that means Mion, knife, and study are all in the clear. Got to jot that down. Then I'll go. Reina, axe, lounge. Only 2 people said they had one? So it means out of Reina, axe, and lounge, one of them is correct and is part of the crime. Not true. Reina could have a card. No, wait. Even if they say they have one, they don't have to say how many. It's possible that either Satoko or Rika-chan has 2 cards. This is a stupid clue. Well, Kei-chan is next. Go ahead. Wait, just a little. I'm still sorting things out. The game has me thinking more than I thought. Oh man, this feels like it's gonna be tough. Alright, now I have the criminal. What? Already? Here I am spinning around in circles and Mian now just raises her hand. The murderer is Rika-chan, in the infirmary with the poison. Well? Mian drew the cards from the box and we checked to see if her deduction was right. You were right! Ugh! All I needed was one more hand. I couldn't tell whether it was poison or a pistol. I never use a pistol. I like killing them slowly with poison. It's terrifying. Rika-chan he said such a hugely terrifying thing with such a sweet little face. Everyone was making a commotion about how they almost had it. Reina and I were left out in the cold, though. Oh, how did you do, Keiji-kun? I couldn't get it at all. Don't worry, I had no idea either. How can you both be so unsure? You'll both end up in last place together at this rate. That's even worse! Going off to buy something together as a couple, what if we ended up having to buy the Happy Family Planning Guide? I can tell from Keiji's expression that he's not very good at this game. What? That's not true! I'll show you the true power of Sherlock Maibara during the next round. My, that sounds just wonderful. I shall give you quite the thrashing. After that, I managed to somehow grasp the trick behind the game, but I was always a step or two behind. I saw that Mian was somehow gleaning information from how the others were asking their questions. That level of experience was just too much. The only way I could stage a comeback was if I became ruthless. I tossed out the simple concept of deduction and switched over to the thought process needed to win. The important thing isn't to find out the criminal, it's to win at the game. Okay. Eureka! Sorry, you need to go to the bathroom. Take your time and squeeze out a nice one. Ew. Mi-chan, that's gross. I had them hold off the game and headed down the hall. The air was crisp. It showed just how stagnant the air in the classroom was from our body heat. On the school grounds, some of our classmates were still playing around. After spending some time cooling my head, Reina had made her way over towards me. Keiichi, did you call for me? Yeah, I did. As I got up from my seat, I winked over at Reina. I'm glad it worked out. I don't want to waste much time, so I'll get right to the point. Reina, what's your record at this game we're playing today? She was taken aback after a moment. She hesitantly opened her mouth. Well, all losses. Why do you ask? I wonder. I could tell with how apprehensively she was playing. The way things are going, I will as well. I can't figure out a way to pull out a last-minute comeback in this one. So, I guess both of us will be taking that penalty? Hey, don't accept defeat already. How about we win this? Both of us. But how can we? I brought my lips up to Reina's ear. Whisper, 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 whisper. Is that allowed? Did you forget, Reina, the second rule of our society? Do everything in your power to obtain victory. Yeah! I'll try my best! Our plan of attack was quite a rudimentary one. At the beginning of the game, everyone would be focused on their hand while taking notes and whatnot. Since our seats were right next to each other, we'd reveal our hands to each other. If we did it under the desk, then nobody would know. We'd begin the game with twice as much information as everyone else. Having this much information would be less to investigate. With this sort of plan of attack, we start off with a big lead over the other guys. Yeah, with this we could probably win! We both smirked at each other. If I was a shady businessman, then Reina was the corrupt senator. Heh. Pleasure doing business with you. Then let's hurry back. We'll work as a duo to surprise everyone. Hey now, there's no point if we go back together. It would be like flat out telling them we made a little arrangement. Oh, sorry. Then what should we do? Go back ahead of me, Reina. I'll take my time coming back after washing my face or something. Okay, got it! Reina turned around and headed back to the classroom. I guess I should wait a bit longer before going back. If I went out too soon, it would seem like I went to the bathroom. If me or one of them suspected something, then there could be problems. Well, they'd figure it out sooner or later, because both Reina and I would start winning over and over again. Both Reina and I will have earned enough points to avoid being the losers by the time Mion realized what was happening. Excellent. Not bad at all. My Bara-kun, may I have a moment? Huh? It's the teacher. Man, things were just getting good. What is it? I'm a bit... You have a guest. Please make your way to the entrance. A guest? It's not like I own a hotel. They have been waiting. Please hurry. It's rather unfortunate that I have someone waiting on me before my big match. What? But I was more interested in the unexpected guest. Sorry, words. I didn't want to waste any time, so I decided to take care of it quickly. The entryway was a heavy contrast from the hot sunlight and deep shadows. Ah-ha-ha! Waiting there, looking uncomfortably warm, was a middle-aged man, his tie sloppily loosened and his jacket tucked underneath his arm. Are you Maibara-san? Keiichi Maibara-san? There was no question that he wasn't a resident of Hinamizawa, and that this was without a doubt the first time he had met me. Ever since I met Tomitake, I'd been running into so many middle-aged men. That's right. Who might you be? I have the AC on in my car. Let's talk there. Oh, stranger danger! It's a bit hot here, don't you think? Why would you get in the car? Alright. I guess it's Japan. Right. The man, completely ignoring my question, pointed over to his car, parked near the gate, and began walking. Oh, okay. You've gotta be kidding me. I had no intention of going along with some geezer I didn't even know, and he was asking me to get in his car with him? I'm not going to bite. Come on now. He opened the back door of his car and called me over. I didn't like the old man, but I wanted to know what this was about, even while knowing that conversation that started out like this had never led to anything good. Why can't you go somewhere else? The inside of his car was pretty cool. Cars with air conditioners were supposed to be a luxury. What? Since when? My dad didn't have one in his car, at least. Please let me know if it's too cold for you, okay? I have a habit of cranking it all the way up. So, what business do you have with me? Out of spite, I decided to ignore his remark in the same way he did to me and start my own line of questioning. He pulled out a notepad from his pocket and took out a picture that was stuck between the pages. On it was the face of a pretty goofy-looking guy. If you know anything related to this individual, then please tell me. Who the heck is this? I doubt even his close friends would be able to recognize who he was from the expressionless picture that looked like it was taken at the DMV. There were scribbles on his shirt done in permanent marker. Starting with yours, my Bara-san, and quite a few of your classmates signed as well. Huh? This is Tomitake? There was no hint of his usual unreliable and easygoing personality in this photo. It was an expressionless, half-asleep face. Then do you know this woman? Even before seeing it, I had a good idea of who it was. I don't remember her name, but she's some lady who was with Tomitake last night. I don't know what her name was, but I did know she was a resident of Hinamizawa. When was the last time you saw these two? The night of the onikakushi we spoke. They seem pretty close, I guess. Did anything bother you about them? Anything is fine. Go ahead and say it. Being asked for every little detail is very troubling, honestly. I had a pretty good idea of who this guy was by now. Did something happen to them? There was no response to my inquiry. Thus I replied to that silence in kind. I was pretty sure, no, certain, this guy was a cop. Then why? Why was he asking about Tomitake? Did something happen to him? More importantly, why me? Shouldn't there have been plenty of other people who knew more about him than I did? The roar of the air conditioner felt unbearably loud. After a long pause, he finally spoke again. That's why. You've moved here just recently, isn't that right, my bar? Are you aware, I wonder, about the stories of Oyashiro-sama? My heart began to race. I'm pretty terrible at hiding things. It probably showed on my face. Not at all. If you don't, then that's fine. Well, I have heard of it. Tomitake-san told me, actually. How much do you know about it? The dismemberment killing, the accidental death, the death by illness followed by suicide, and the lady who was beaten to death. Incidents that always happened the day of the Waranagashi, ending in suspicious deaths. I didn't think Tomitake would have kept anything from me. I think that was everything. No, rather, I didn't want to think there was anything more than that. Do you know of that, well, curse, my Bara? Feel free to speak openly about it. I don't believe in it. My answer was instant. It wasn't so much that I didn't believe in it as I was on the verge of believing. I wanted to clear away my own doubts. That was the more prominent feeling. Really? Then that's great. Guess you really are one of those city-raised boys. So what if I don't believe? I have friends waiting. Could you get to the point? The man in this picture is dead. My mind went blank. What happened to Tomitake? It would seem that he died last night. That was the night of the Waranagashi. Do you understand the implications behind that, my Bara? Implications? Not any yet. Not any for the cause of his death or the reasons behind it. The real problem was that he died on the day of the Waranagashi. Meaning, this year, the curse of Oyashiro-sama had once again. The death of Jiro Tomitake is still confidential. You can understand why that is, right? I didn't want to understand why. Please tell me. Tell me what happened. It was rather peculiar. It might be a little too graphic for someone born and raised in Hinamizawa. It was a roundabout way of saying it, but it caused me to doubt whether or not I wanted to hear the rest. I would only regret forcing myself to learn of something I shouldn't. Or at least, that's how I figured I would feel if I listened to the rest. One of our patrol cars discovered the body on the way back from security detail at the festival. It was about 5 till midnight. The location was, you know the road into town becomes paved, right? Down past the slope on the shoulder around there? There are a few streetlights on that road. Its pitch-black darkness was only broken by the lights of passing cars and the moon. It was a stroke of luck that Tomitake was spotted collapsed on the shoulder of the road. Tomitake was face down, covered in blood. Blood and muck covered the asphalt. We thought it was a hit and run at first. But when the officer checked to see if he was still alive, he quickly noticed something abnormal. Oh God. His throat had been ripped open. From a knife or something? No. Nails. Nails? As in fingernails? With those he clawed through. From the coroner's report, it was revealed that it was with his own nails. What does that mean? Basically, it means it wasn't murder, it was suicide. Tomitake thought there was a reason to tear open his own throat as hard as he could with his own nails, tore through the skin until he started to bleed, and even then Tomitake didn't stop. He continued clawing, with enough intensity that it could have peeled off his nails, still clawing. Then, as his nails reached those vital arteries that you should never damage, he continued clawing. Blood splattered on the ground around him. As he bled, while gasping for breath, he collapsed. His body spasmed and he died in agony. We thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. But it was suicide? I never heard of such a thing. This unnatural way of dying. If this wasn't a mysterious death, then what was? The way he died. In these 5 years, his death most resembled that of a curse. As if to show both myself and Tomitake, who proclaimed there was no such thing as a curse, that we were wrong. There were a few more suspicious details. From his body chemistry, perspiration, epilation, and so on, we concluded that he was in a state of hysteria right before his death. That was a given. It's hard to believe someone could be in a sound state of mind while clawing out their throat. Wounds on his hands matched a discarded piece of lumber found nearby. There are traces of where he struck trees and the guardrails with it. Tomitake's blood was found all over the place, meaning that while tearing at his own throat, he was swinging around a piece of lumber. There were external injuries which were not self-inflicted, discovered on Tomitake. There is a high probability Tomitake was assaulted. The external injuries suggest there may be multiple suspects. To summarize, Tomitake was surrounded and attacked. While wandering the night roads in a state of panic after being cornered, he picked up a piece of lumber and tried fighting back. Somewhere in there, he began madly tearing at his own throat, clawing at it. Then he died. The presumed time of death was around 9:23 p.m., meaning it occurred right after you finished talking to Tomitake at the festival. Everyone signed Tomitake's shirt, then parted ways. Right after that, oh yeah, he should have been with a woman. What about her? She's missing. She hasn't shown up to work, and she hasn't returned home either. There is a very high probability that she was involved in this incident. For a while, I could only gaze off into space. I never would have thought something unfortunate happening to someone close to me could affect me this deeply. The time I had spent with Tomitake was short. But we went to the same festival, spent time together, and took part in the same competition. He was one of us. We have been continuing the investigation on various fronts, but when it comes to Oyashiro-sama's curse, the villagers here aren't very cooperative. That I knew well. I would have been none the wiser if not for Tomitake-san, the outsider, telling me. So that's why you came to me? Because I'm not originally from Hinamizawa? I should have been angry that was the reason he wanted to hear what happened from me. If things go the way they have been, the conclusion would be that Jiro Tomitake died from Oyashiro-sama's curse. He turned away from me and gazed far off into the distance. I wonder if he knew something and, the villagers killed him somehow. And then they say that it's the curse. The night of the Waranagashi, during the sacred ritual, he callously snapped off photos angering Oyashiro-sama. That's how it's going to turn out. But he's been doing that every year. There's no way Oyashiro-sama would inflict divine punishment on Tomitake-san. Tomitake had to have been killed by humans, and a cowardly group no less. There's no way I'm going to let this end up being fault of some curse. I think so as well. There's no such thing as divine punishment or curses. The tense mood was cut with the man's hearty laugh. That's how this must be, Maebara. Cooperation from individuals in Hinamizawa who don't believe in the curse is indispensable. Understand? Neither Tomitake-san nor I believed in curses, but with the way things were going, it would just end up with Tomitake-san's death marking the 5th year, which would mean that Hinamizawa had rejected Tomitake. That was something I couldn't allow. Tomitake was one of us. He didn't live in Hinamizawa, but he came every single year. In a sense, he was more of a resident than I was. There was no way that Tomitake could have been cursed by Oyashiro-sama. But there is nothing I can do to help. I have no idea what happened that night either. No. If you see or hear something that draws your attention, that is enough. If I see or hear, he was talking in future tense. Things or people or rumors, anything is fine. I don't care if they're unfounded. Here, this is my number. If I'm not there, then just leave a message with whoever picks up. He handed me a piece of paper with his number on it, but I hesitated for a second. If I took it, then whether I wanted to or not, I'd be mired knee-deep in this matter. Please, help me solve these questions surrounding Tomitake's unfortunate death. That's right. Why was I hesitating? I needed to find the murderer who killed my friend. I snatched at the piece of paper as a satisfied grin spread across my face. Everything we spoke of today is a secret. Please, keep this confidential. Understood? From your friends as well, especially from Sonozaki-san and Furude-san. Please do not inform them. Sonozaki? You mean Mion? Why? Are you saying they have something to do with the incident? With my friends' names brought up so abruptly and being told to keep it a secret from them, I became rather angry. This is what they call investigative privilege, I suppose. Don't play games with me. Mion is a close friend of mine. I snapped at him, but he didn't seem to be especially offended. I wouldn't mind telling you, but it may just upset you. Say it! He hesitated a little. Turning his gaze to the outside of the car, he began to speak after thinking for a bit. There is a possibility that the string of incidences happening here in Hinamizawa are a result of a village conspiracy. There's no way that could be right. Give me a break. First of all, is there any proof of that? No evidence. Also, each of the cases were resolved, and none of the perpetrators had any direct connections to the village. Then how did you come to that conclusion? Every year, the enemies of the village die on the day of the Watanagashi. Don't you think that's enough reason to suspect something? Only the residents of Hinamizawa felt that that day of the Watanagashi was sacred. So basically, because incidents happened on that day, it was somehow related to Hinamizawa. First, it was the dam construction foreman. Then, it was the villager that supported it. Those the village hold a grudge against die one after another from mysterious causes. The means are different, but in the end the result is the same. Unfounded, unreasonable suspicion. But it couldn't just be shrugged off. So the victims after that, what about Shinto priest and his wife's death? They weren't enemies of the village. The villagers had expected leadership from the Shinto priest at the time of the dam dispute, but he wasn't proactive, so there was a faction of villagers who harbored ill will towards him as a result. Ill will? It's not like he did anything bad to the village. What about the housewife after that? Did she die just because she was the wife of a brother of a supporter? That's such a trivial reason to kill someone. And what about Tomitake? He's not affiliated with the Dam Project at all. Was he just killed because he was an outsider? In the beginning, it fell on those related to the Dam Project, but as the years went on, the enemy threshold of victims had become much lower. Well, that's the scary part. The bar keeps getting lower. What's scary about that? It means it's not just enemies of the village anymore. Just being an outsider is reason enough. Then, next year's victim, they're just going to be picked out of the village outsider pool? It might be a person that just moved here. What do you mean by... I swallowed my words. Here in Hinamizawa, the ones who would be considered the most outside would be my family. I was proof enough of that, wasn't I? I still couldn't really remember the names of the people I passed by. Then the next victims. My family. Was he saying it was going to be me? But what does that have to do with Mion? I can't go into details, but the Sonozaki family led the dam protests, quite fervently so. This is also true of Mion Sonozaki herself. She has quite a few misdemeanor and obstruction of public worker offenses on her record because of the protests. I knew Mion knew what it meant to fight. This was the first I've heard of her family relating to the protests, though. Then what did it all mean? Are you saying that Mion's family is involved with this string of incidents? I wouldn't go that far. I'm just saying that if it was a conspiracy, then they'd have the highest probability of being behind it. Not a very clear explanation. It felt like he'd magnificently avoided the details I really wanted to know. We don't know who or how involved anyone is right now. That is exactly why I don't want you to say anything to the villagers. And instead of answering, I gave a very bitter expression. It seemed that he understood it well enough. Then think of it like this. I don't want to worry the villagers who blindly believe it's the curse. How about that? What do you mean about, how about that? How should I know? But the reasoning behind wanting me to not carelessly open my mouth about it wasn't too hard to comprehend. The perpetrator was here. It had nothing to do with the curse. He was definitely going to be caught by the police and made to pay for his crimes. And none of the villagers should have anything to do with that process. It may cause those sensitive about the curse to just worry needlessly. Just like everyone kept it from me, so I wouldn't worry about it. Is it now my turn to keep it from them so they don't have to worry? I was just talking to myself. Unlike me, everyone else had been worrying over these mysterious incidences yearly. And the incident this time probably means a lot more to them. I didn't want to burden them anymore. In the end, everything went as the man had wanted, as insipid as it was, but it couldn't be helped. I understand. I'll keep it to myself. Is that fine? Mr. Oishi, from the Okanomiya police station. You can call me Kuda-chan if you want. No, Oishi-san is fine. The way he said it was unpleasant, yet retained hints of politeness. He was the spitting image of a vulgar police officer, though I've never seen one this bulky before in the cop shows I watch, of course. I've taken too much time. Your friends are waiting, aren't they? I should probably let you get back to them. The door opened with a click, and in streamed the oppressive heat. It was blistering outside the car. Was it really this hot of a day? It was almost cruel heat as opposed to the mechanical coolness inside the car. It was as if the land of Hinamizawa itself suddenly hated me. I felt a little sad that it crossed my mind. I didn't mean to suspect your friends. Please don't misunderstand that. I refrained from telling him that it was too late to say something that self-serving. It's fine if you don't see or hear anything, Maibara. There is enough proof that the village is not involved. I'll contact you if I hear or see anything. But I'm no detective. Please don't expect too much from me. I won't. You don't have to become a detective. Just go on living as you have up till now. Just let me know if you notice anything. I hastily made my way back to the school building after giving him a quick bow. See you later. Farewell, Baiba-kun. I returned to the school building without looking back. Alright, I'm going to save it here because I need to go to sleep. Well, I still have to eat dinner, but it's like 11. I didn't realize it. Alright, we're getting somewhere. Starting to learn things. Yay! Poor Tomitake-san. Also, I knew that was going to happen because of the anime. Sorry. But, alright. Let us continue later. Bye-bye. And good night.